All right, you should have sound now. Do you have sound now? I was just waiting for somebody who could respond to me and tell me I had sound or not. I hate that this is at the front of every single video while it struggles with this. Okay, there is sound now. Okay, and I haven't got an app on my iPad yet either. And I have like zero patience these days for all of this stuff, so I just get really frustrated and I don't want to do it anymore when I get frustrated by it, because it just does this. And I've had such big gaps in between anymore that then I can't remember how to get my iPad to bring up the chat, so I apologize for that. This is crazy. You would think after all these years, but I hope you guys have had okay, there we go. Now we got it. Alright, so now I have a chat. Alright, there we go. Okay, cool. And I know the lighting is really bad because I happen to have two windows right behind me, and I'm trying to figure out good solutions for that. So anyway, so we have sound, we have picture, we're here. I know I have been very absent a lot lately, so I'm trying. I'm not afraid to admit I am going through a really rough stretch right now. So, had a bunch of crap come up this week. So I'm just trying to muddle through, and but we'll get there. So I appreciate everybody being so patient and dropping in when I happen to just drop in. So just to keep things up to date like we did last time, I do ask that here in the chat we keep it just light and fun. Let's leave talk of politics out of this. Anything contentious like that, let's just leave that be and go forward. So anyway, so we are going to just do something is basically when I decided to do this show a few days ago, or was it yesterday, day before yesterday. I think that's been my toughest thing, is trying to remember what day of the week it is. All I've lately been doing, I swear, is sewing masks and dealing with crap. So I am getting really sick of sewing masks, but they are our reality for the time being, and so it's one way that I can help, so I do. But we're gonna make a little album today. Yeah, I realize I have a schooling projects that I could do that aren't fully 100% complete yet. It can be challenging at the best of times to go backwards and go back to some of those, but trying to do that live on a show is even more challenging. So those are going to be going to video. I'm having a massive struggle. I sit down to work and it's like my brain shuts down. So I'm fully aware of what still needs to go to everybody. I'm fully aware of pretty much everything that still needs to get completed. I'm doing the best I can. So nothing will ever get forgotten. So just be aware of that. But I just want something fun. Well, I don't know if you all think it's fun, but something quick, something easy, something not real big. Since I've had to dig up a lot of unpleasantries from the past this week, it's got me though thinking and remembering, and when we used to do mini albums, which were actually mini albums and not the giant economy size albums that everybody wants that, you know, packed 4,000 photos in them. We used to do things that were small. So after having taken that Seth Apter online class where he did little 2x2 albums, which I haven't made one of those yet, but one of those little 2x2 type 2x3. I don't know, Christine, I know you took one of those classes and did some of those. So but it just really touched something in me that brought me back to way back. You know, when I first started doing all this, is we were doing mini albums, and they were mini. Nowadays, if I make it smaller than 8x10, it's like, so we're gonna do one that's small, and it's a variation of bindings that I've been doing since 2011 is when I introduced, I think, some of the first sleeve type bindings. You know, I had Stack the Deck, but before I Stack the Deck, I had what was that one called? Honeycomb Accordion. This one's probably most similar to Honeycomb Accordion, but it is pretty simple how it all goes together. And here a sec, I'll flip the camera around and we'll have a look see at it. Excuse me. Don't say things like that, Christine, because you'll make me cry, because you know the story now. So anyway, what did I call this thing? I called it the Hex-accordion album. So the Hex-accordion binding. This binding, as with any of my bindings, can be adjusted and switched and changed to suit your needs in terms of its height, all that kind of stuff. So let me go ahead and switch cameras so you're not just sitting there looking at the bright blobs of light behind me with me being fuzzy in the middle. Let me switch cameras so we can see better now. I will ask after I switch camera if I'll say something, and if Joy can let me know if you can still hear or not, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. Alrighty. Can you still hear me, Joy? So hopefully you can still hear me. Yes, you can hear me. Yay! So I think we've got the the sound issues that we had earlier this year, since I seem to be doing these so infrequently. I really want to get back onto a regular schedule, but it's just, and my problem is when I do these shows is I want to do stuff that's fresh and new, but I also don't want to piss all of you off that still want stuff that old stuff. So I'm in a quandary. For the most part, I generally like to do fresh new, or at least revisit. The other thing with going back and looking at some past stuff is there were some projects from way back. I mean, we're talking 10 years ago type of projects, 9-10 years ago, that I would love to go back and revisit. And I don't know if I necessarily, usually when I revisit a project, as all of you know, I tweak it or change it, or change, if nothing else, I tend to change the size. I don't know. How would any of you feel about revisiting some of the older 3D projects? I have some new ones that I am working on slowly but surely. But again, I'm not doing anything with those new ones or the ones that are still owed until such time as they are fully ready. I'm not showing in process, that kind of thing, because that just stirs up even more problems. So where did I go on my iPad? I don't seem to be there. There I am. Okay. This is actually, Joy, on this is a paper. I need to change this because it's getting rumply, but it's a wood paper on top of my regular desk. but it's lighter because this is a dark tone desk, and this this wood slat paper looks much better on camera. Everybody pretty much has this kind of look these days on camera from what I've seen, and I don't know, for me it's paper. I don't know what other people are using. I don't think they actually, having a desk that would be this rustic would be really hard to work on with, you know, cracks and stuff in between the slats of wood. So, but I do need to change this because it's getting really wrinkly, as you can see. So anyway, and it's also here at the edge of the table starting to get worn. So yeah, it's paper. It's a roll of paper. Hobby Lobby. If you go over in Hobby Lobby, if you go over, there's an aisle that's kind of for teachers, for bulletin boards. Remember doing bulletin boards? I remember in elementary school, I was always getting roped in by teachers. Not even my own teacher, but other teachers. I remember this mainly from 3rd and 4th grade. I would get roped in by teachers to help them do their bulletin boards. I know, it's kind of weird, but yeah, no, I'm sure there's vinyl ones that are out there too, but in Hobby Lobby there's rolls of paper for bulletin boards, and they have like 5 or 6 different papers. It's not just paper, super paper. It's got a little bit of a finish to it. So if I'm just using a damp cloth, I can wipe stuff off of it. What causes all this rippling stuff is if I get it damp, and then I heat on it, so it gets a little rumpled from, as you can see, it's moving around from the heat. Anyway, that's not the subject I really was planning to talk about, but you can find it at Hobby Lobby. So okay, well, a couple of people are open to doing some revisited projects. I would like to do them because it would kind of push out a few ghosts out of the way. So anyway, so what we're working on today is, I don't have the covers on this, but this is the little binding pieces, and these are the pages. Now I have these sewn into tubes, only because I have my sewing machine out all the time right now. So it was like, okay, cool. So, but these are just little sleeve pockets that we can decorate. These can be decorated, excuse me, however you want. If you want to use just little pattern paper pieces on there and mat them super fast, super quick, super easy, and then make little tags to go in your pockets, you can do that. If you want to do mixed media and that sort of thing on these pages, perfect for that. So it's really kind of up to you as to what you want to do with this little book. It's a great little basic small book. I've got 6 pages. You can make it the number of pages that you're comfortable with. It doesn't require a hard spine. One of the things with this one I have found is it's a lot more stable than my honeycomb accordion, which I introduced, I want to say it was 3 or 4 months before Stack the Deck. And the reason why I didn't continue on with developing it further is it would yank around this way. It wasn't very stable. So that's when I came up with Stack the Deck. And then other accordion bindings came out after that, that seemed to take off. So anyway, but pages just slip onto the fins. I don't have those glued on. You didn't expect that one, did you? So it's got the little fins, so you can see how it's kind of little hexagon-y shapes. Well, I guess they're really, yeah, they are kind of hexagon shaped. So that's why I called it Hex-accordion. I know, I love those plays on words too. So Joy, you guys are easy and cheap. I don't know. You guys don't seem terribly cheap to me, but so anyway. Hey, Jerry Ann, how are you doing? How are things over on that side of Washington?
Thanks.
Oh, Siri. So I said, hey, Jerry Ann, how are you doing? And Siri thought I said, oops, Oh, no, that wasn't it. Siri said, I said, how are you doing? She said, pretty good, thanks. Oh, yeah, see, she's... Alrighty. Thanks, Siri. My husband has a woman that he worked with whose name's Siri. She had to turn that off on her phone because her name is Siri, and Siri was constantly coming on as a result. So it's just as crazy as Western Washington. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. So anyway. All right, so what we are going to start with, I'm not talking properly here. Oh, why is that? Things going? Oh, come on. Why is this? Oh, this thing hates me. I want live. All right. Well, as long as my chat's working, I don't care if the picture is working on my pad. So anyway, so what we'll be doing is assembling this, and this is assembled by little pieces. So it's not one big old long string, but it's excuse me, smaller pieces. You could do this in a long string, I guess, but the part of the reason I did it this way is so that we have these skinnier fins here on the back, and because they are 3 layers, it keeps them pretty solid, and so then this doesn't jack around quite as much because we don't have a hard spine on it. So but it also allows the accordion part of it allows it to expand. So if you don't have a lot in your little book, it can be nice and flat. But if you want to add little pockets or little flaps or little doodahs or embellishments, it allows, it gives it that room to breathe and become... Right now we're all about breathing these days. So anyway, to make your little pieces of this, and we're going to cut those out here in just a minute, they are 2 1/4 inches wide. Your height, you can determine whatever you want your height to be. Now, I made my height smaller compared to my pages, and that was a conscious choice on my part because I just wanted that look. You can make it to where, if I had turned these the other way, to where your binding fits your pages height exactly. That's 100% entirely up to you how you want to do that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be using these pages to decorate. And we are going to we're going to make a new little binding unit. So however many pages you want to have, you make that number of your little binding strips plus 1. So I have 6 pages, so I need to make 7 of these guys. And again, they're 2 1/4 inches wide. Now I think I might use a different color paper on this, just so that we have I'm feeling like blue paper these days. I think is Lois here today? Lois is wearing off on me. I've never been much of a blue person, but suddenly lately I've been doing a lot of blue stuff. So I don't know if I'm entering into a blue phase in my stuff or just what the scoop is on that, but I'm just feeling blue. So that is a kind of a iris blue kind of shade. Okay, so I made these ones that were in this. I made these 4 1/4, and they're 2 1/4 wide. So easy way to do that. And if I'm going to do 6 pages, I need 7 strips. So out of the 8 1/2 width, I get 2. So there's 2 at 2 1/4 wide, 4, 6, 8. We do appreciate. Sorry. And then I'm going to score these before I cut them in half. So why duplicate the effort? So, all right. So I'm going to take and do a score line 1/4 inch from one side, 1/2 inch from one side, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, and 2 inches. So what we're going to have then is 2 1/4 inch sections, 2 1/2 inch sections, and 3/4 inch sections. So 1/4, 1/4, 1/2, 1/2, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Make sense? I'm going to do that on all of these. So 1/4, 1/2, 1, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, and 2 inches. One 1/4, 1/2, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, and 2. Quarter inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, and 2. Oops, now I can cut these in half because it's easier to score these when they're just longer pieces. So now I'm going to cut these down in half to 4 1/4 each. I'll end up with one extra, but it's always good to have one extra because then if one of them gets bunged up for some reason. There you go, Joanne, you got it. All right, so between the 2 1/2 inch sections, I'm just going to fold that there in half. And then from that point, your accordion fold all the rest of the folds. Basically, it just goes back and forth. So you get a little mountain, and then the wide one's a mountain. So you just keep flipping in an accordion fashion. So it's basically a zigzag. Okay, fold them all. It's a wonky zigzag, yep. Okay, so we're going to keep folding all of these. But if you start with the fold that's between the two big ones, and those two bigger sections are going to be your where your page attach is. So I doubt that we're going to get this thing all decorated today, so I am going to do my best to try to do another show this week, force myself into it, because it's really easy to talk myself out of it, because I've kind of almost gotten out of the habit. So, but I miss talking to all of you. I miss doing my shows. I don't miss having the constant pressure of getting things ready for it. So that, so on each side of that, you've got a mountain and a mountain, and then this little extra guy, he pokes up. So, you know, mountain, big mountain, little mountain, and then this guy's just shooting up. Kind of like Corona cases in the U.S. So. Yeah, once I get all of these masks all done, I also, this Thursday is my final project for Crafters Workshop. So, you know, once all of that stuff then is out of my my hair, we'll see where we're going from there. So we shall see. All right, so then I'm going to use score tape, but you can also glue it. But I'm using 3/4 inch score tape on one, doesn't matter which one, but on one of the 1/2 inch wide sections. Like I said, it's not going to be critical as to which one you do it on. You just do it on one of them. Yeah, my husband's been working from home since March as well, Pam. He finally, I think a week or two ago, finally put gas in his car, a tank of gas in his car, which is the first time he'd done that since March, because he just doesn't go out much. And without having to commute, I think it's going to extend the life of his truck for quite some time before we have to buy another one. I don't miss Ustream, Jerry Ann. I miss a lot of the people. How many of you who've been around for a long time remember Steven Pink Elf? I was watching a Facebook Live this morning that he was on, and so couldn't really chat. I didn't want to take away from the person doing the Facebook Live. But it was fun to see him. I see him on Facebook all the time. So, all right, so that's on one side. You're going to flip them over, and on the side that has the 3, in these last 2 little sections, we're going to put, I'm using the 1/8 inch tape. But again, this can be done with glue as you're assembling it. You're not going to want to put the glue on, obviously, right now. But as we're assembling it, you could glue these. It's just faster with tape for me. But that's on the opposite side. And this is, excuse me, on the side that's got 3/4 inch, not the side with the tube, but the one that's got the extra that kind of shoots up, that one. So make sure you're not seeing any 3/8 inch tape when you're putting the 1/8 inch tape down, because it should be on the opposite side. Yeah, Steven sent a picture a week or 2 ago of the original when they named themselves the Pink Elves. That was way back when we used to have a huge crew of men. We had Disney Rob, who was somewhere in New York, not sure where. So then we had Steven, who was Pink Elf. And then Jim Hankins, that was back in the days, early days with him. And then we also had a 16-year-old boy that used to come, and he was somewhere in Canada, because I remember he saved up and bought a kit, and I remember it was somewhere in Canada. But so we used to have these guys. Then we also had the quote-unquote guy who was the when we had the catfish. It was a lady posing. She started out posing as a woman, but then came in as the quote-unquote boyfriend, and she had triplets. That was a wild time, except they weren't really triplets. That was all just a made-up story. So it was wild times with our catfish back then. I don't know how we made it through all that stuff, to be honest. Alrighty. So we are going to take one of these. So we have 7, right? Because we're doing 6 pages, and then we have an extra one. So one of these we are going to take and cut it down the fold between the 2 half-inch sections. And then this will be the piece on either end that will be attaching to our cover. So whichever one does not have tape on it, it gets the 3/8" tape on that half-inch section. And then we'll have all our tape on, and we're ready to assemble our hex accordion. So, all right. So it really doesn't matter which end you start at. I'm going to start with the one that's got the tape on the side. So what we're going to be doing is this is going to the end that's across from the one that's got the 3, so the end with the 2 1/4" sections, and this is sloping down, is going to attach to the double tape. Okay, so we're going to peel that off, attach that just short of the fold, varnish it on, and then fold these 2 together. Okay, so this is going to be the front side, and this is going to be the back side that's got the skinny little fin on it. We're not attaching these guys together because this is easier to assemble if you do it before we turn those into little fins. So again, with all of these, if you have, you'll have your double strip tape on the right side, and we'll just kind of assembly line start attaching these. So you can see how if you didn't have this little doubled section, you could do this all in one big long strip to where it went, you know, so we could start at one end and it would go half, quarter, 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 half, half. Then you'd have 4 quarters, 2 halves, 4 quarters. So if you wanted to do it in a long strip, that you'll probably have to splice to get it the full length. But if you wanted to do it in one long strip, you could. And again, it would go half, 4 1/4", 2 halves, 4 quarter, 2 halves, 4 quarter, blah, 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 blah. And every place that there's a pair of halves is where there would be a page. And if you actually just start assembling this before making it 3D, it is actually the easiest. So just make sure you don't cover over your fold. So then the last one is going to be this half of the one that we cut in half to be the end pieces. So you could see how it'd be a little bit longer than 12 inches. So you could actually do for the end, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could do for 5 pages If you wanted to do it for just 5 pages, you could do it out of one strip of 12-inch. Doing it as half, then 4/4, 2 halves, 4/4, 2 halves, blah, 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 blah. And then this would end up cutting off right here. So it would be right at, looks like it would be right at 12 inches. Or would it go beyond that? It looks like it might go a little beyond the 1/4 inch, but you could make each of these end pieces a little bit narrower. You'll have to figure out the math if you want to do that. I'm doing it this way. All right, so then we can peel these guys off. Go ahead and fold those over, and you're going to want to burnish those. And again, this is where you could be gluing these if you didn't want to use the tape. And these are going to form the outside spines. So it's basically, what's happening is this little flange here on the part where it's the 3 is getting sandwiched in to between these two. So this guy of the previous piece is getting sandwiched into this little crack. And that's why it's 3 layers. I'm just going to give all those little burnish. Okay, so it should look like that. So all those little skinny little ones are on the back side. So now we can flip it over, and now we got our tape on there, leaving the ones on the end alone. Don't touch those. So we can just peel this one off, fold those. Again, always give it a burnish so that it engages the adhesive. I'm just going to finger do it to start with. It is well, I gotta admit, it's a little easier when it's still under assembly. Okay. And then the next one. So it's hard to mess up if you just pay attention when you're putting your tape on, because that'll kind of help direct you as to how you need to fold everybody. Alrighty, so squish it all together. So you can see now how we've got our little fins on the back spine and our 1/4 inch fins on the inside that our pages will attach to. Actually, this is only my second one that I've been doing. Third. I did a prototype, I did this one, and now I've done this one. So I learned quickly from the very first one how not to do it and fix it. So I did that one at a time, and it was really hard, you know, doing one at a time and attaching it. So that's why I've now quickly learned, leave it as flat as possible for as long as possible, and then start putting it together. So there is, I'm calling this Hex-accordion binding. Again, you can make this whatever height you want it to be. So it will rest at about 1/4 inch gap between the pages, but can fully stretch out to 1/2 inch between pages, and that's plenty of room. I don't know if I'd want it to be that fat, but it allows you to add embellishments, pockets, flaps, whatever you want to your pages. Now, we just are doing these super quick and simple pages. I've done these. These are, I did them 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so I took an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet and cut it into 4. So then that's going to give me 2 of these little pages out of a sheet of 8.5 by 11. So I used 1 sheet for the binding, and then I used 3 sheets. So that was a sheet, that was a sheet, and that's a sheet. So you can make this album out of 4 sheets of cardstock and 1 sheet. I'm going to use a lightweight chipboard, I think. And then 1 sheet of lightweight chipboard for my cover. So it doesn't require a lot of materials. You can use a 6x6 pad if you want to mat things with paper. So a 6x6 pad will work, which we, all of us, or most of us, probably have a hoard of. You can use any of my digital papers. Or you can do like what I'm planning to do and just do a little bit of paint and doodah, maybe some stamping, that kind of thing on here. But that's entirely up to you as to what you want to do. Now, I personally, when I'm embellishing these other than just matting them, it's much easier to do this when my pocket pages are free. So I'm not attaching them on just yet. Now, excuse me. Again, with this, I decided to sew these. You could glue them. You could put little fins or not fins, little hinges. Do a 3/4 inch strip, kind of like a construction strip. Do a construction strip attachment that's either on the outside or the inside. You can, totally do something that is simple and not obvious, or you can do something that incorporates in for the aesthetic of the album. That's entirely up to you as how you want to do that. A quick way to make this into a pocket too, or into a page, is again with 2 of them. If you just use a 1/2 inch tab on one side of the page and one side of the other page, and you have them back to back to where they attach that way. I've done those tons of times on other shows. So they attach that way, and it makes a sleeve. So however you want to create a sleeve, so then these will just attach when we're ready to attach them. I'm centering it and just shy of the fold, and I'm going to glue that down, so then you'll have between the pages So this is a great one if you want to play with embellishing on it, or if you want to do it fast and just do it with pattern paper. Either way, the beauty is it works either way. You can make it any size you want. If you want it larger, by all means make it larger. If you want it smaller, make it smaller. It's really flexible for whatever it is that you may want it to do. So inside there, as you can see, it goes out all the way to 1/2 inch. So, and we keep attaching them that way. And then I'm going to cut, let me go ahead and cut it, my 8.5 by 11 sheet of lightweight chipboard. See if my blade will cut through this. My blade's getting dull. I need to change it out. I'll cut it fine. So I'm cutting it into same size, 4 of them. You can make it larger if you wanted to. I'm just going for the same size. I just want this quick and dirty and over with kind of thing. Not over with, quick and dirty and fast. So with this, what I'm going to do is attach these, centering that. So I'll put that onto the back side, and then I'm going to attach this on the other side. It buries the hinge so you don't see it, and gives it then the durability of the 2 layers, makes it almost the thickness of a medium chipboard, but it's super easy to work with and cut. So it buries the fin, and so it uses up that. So 4 sheets of cardstock, 1 sheet, and a sheet being 8.5 by 11, 4 sheets of cardstock and 1 sheet of lightweight chipboard. And you can do an album out of it. So quick and easy. This is perfect for a brag book, Pam. Perfect. It's got 6 pockets. You could have multiple photos in each of those pockets. So you could do stuff on here if you wanted to. You could actually put photos on here. That's entirely up to you as to how you want to then embellish it. So, as I said, I want to display with some mixed media type stuff on my pages. Where are we at for time? If we've got time to do, yeah, we have an hour, so we can get a page or two done. I want to do it relatively simple, so if people are open to that, we can get started. Got my hands. I'm doing a number on my hands lately, and with the stress of all of this, and then the hand washing and the alcohol stuff, and my hands just look like, it's embarrassing. I don't want to show them because they look so terrible. So, but yeah, let's play a little bit. Oh yeah, the other thing by having this doubled is you could have a tie come out of it, so you bury a tie in it, so easy. So thank you on whoever suggested sandwich ribbons in the album. Yes, Joy, thank you. Excellent ideas. So thank you for sharing those ideas as well. So. Alrighty, so we're gonna play with messy stuff. Or do you guys want me to just do paper? I can do either way. You want me to just mat it paper and we can have it done today? Or do you want to play with messy stuff and I can make a second one that we can play with messy stuff during next class? Because if we mat it with paper, I can have it done today, or we can play and we can do the messy part on the next class. Do not tell me do what you want. That's not what I'm asking. I get so mad when I ask a question and I get back, do what you want. All right, it's messy. It is. I'm not getting a good vibe lately from all of you that I can tell whether you guys want to play with the quote unquote messy stuff or if you prefer doing the tidy, clean stuff that I've been doing for all these years. So I'm not reading the room as well these days as I used to. So cut me just a squidgen of slack on that. So I have a hard time telling what people are interested in. The beauty of doing the messy stuff is it's products. I'm at least using products that are readily available when I'm using just paints that you can get even at Walmart. So any of the craft stores that I think the majority of the country are open these days. So subject to change at any time. So we have a high potential to get shut down again. It wouldn't shock me if numbers keep going up. So anyway, Maggie had a fight with an ink bottle yesterday. Yeah, it was funny. I was talking with an old dear friend from back in the days when I went to Ranger U, who lives in the UK, and her name just totally escaped my brain. But we were laughing the other day about at Ranger, she had pink alcohol ink I'm trying to remember. It was either alcohol ink or it was a distress stain. I want to say it was alcohol ink. And she has very blonde hair. And she was on the other side of the room, so I'm not really sure exactly how it all happened. But she ended up with the pink, either alcohol ink or stain on her bangs and her face. She got it off her face, but her bangs were pink. So she had hot pink streaks on her bangs. And she said, yeah, it never could come out. They couldn't get it to come out. So she eventually had to grow out. Oh, I'm sitting here while I'm talking, trying for the life of me to remember her name. And I'm so terrible with names, so I'm going to look this up because it's going to make me crazy if I don't go look. So hang on. I'll pull it up. It's going to rack my brain crazy. And she's hysterically funny because Hell's Sheridan, that's right. Hell's uses all sorts of British slang, and it's really funny. She types or she comments on things with her British slang, so I'm always cracking up on that. So anyway, alrighty. So I'm going to start out with, just to add, because I like white on my I like white on craft, and I'd use white stitching because that's what's in my. And then I'm just going to take some gesso. I'm going to try to take some gesso. When all else fails, give it a whack. No, I should have washed brushes, but I didn't. Oh well. So I'm just going to take some gesso and a palette knife. This is getting kind of old and dried up. It's a good thing I'm almost done with them, huh? And I'm just serendipitously there. That's cool. Leave it. I need my heat tool to water dry it quick because I don't want to wait for it. So I'm going to do this on both sides. Oh, Jerian, trust me, I understand what you're saying exactly. 100%. This is not fun right now with stuff going on. But yep, you got it right exactly, Joy. Yeah, well, I've been cutting my husband's. My life really, other than my husband being home all the time, hasn't changed all that dramatically. Because I've been cutting my husband's hair for years. We get takeout from restaurants rather than going in the restaurant, and we've done that for years. It just really hasn't been that dramatically different. Other than, there's a worldwide pandemic going on, but, other than that. So, Trevor would love to let his hair grow, but it's pretty non-existent on top. But as he's getting older, I keep telling, like I told him, he has a job interview tomorrow. And as I told him, I said, you won't be able to wear your beanie. And he goes, oh, I know. So, but it's one of those things where it's like, as you're getting older, Trev, it doesn't look as unusual that you are pretty much bald. You know, when he was 17 and starting to go bald, yeah, that was hard. That was tough for him. But now that he's 22 now, so now that he's a little older, and there's other people who are also going bald now, it's a little easier for him. So, okay, so then we can take and we can put strips of paper stuff on there. We can do some stamps. Let me grab some stuff. This is where you can kind of dig around in your stash like this. This is some old. This is actually old Seven Gypsies tissue, but you know, there's other tissues and stuff that are out there now. So let's see. Gel medium. Now I'm using the TCW stuff because that's what I got, but you can use any brand that is your preference. So then I'm just using some, these are super cheap and easy brushes. They're rough and tumble, great for rough kind of stuff. So take some of my medium. You can, you can even use, you know, decoupage if that's what you've got. You can use watered down glue if you don't have medium to do this with. I guess I probably should put some down first. The one thing I love about doing this kind of stuff is it allows you to kind of turn your brain off. If you just flow with it and don't think too much, just kind of let it happen without overthinking. Kind of go with the gut feel rather than thinking about it super amount. So ooh, I like that color. I love that color. So I'm going to grab another one of these brushes because that other one has the stuff on it. I want to clean it absolutely every time. So I'm just throwing a little pop color. That's just a cool orange. This is my new thing is I love popping fluorescent in there. I don't know why. I'm into fluorescent right now. Not a lot. Sparing. But see how fun just that little hot pops a little pink? Get it nice and dry. The medium I just used matte gel medium. I was using a TCW one, but any gel medium will work. There's a zillion and two different brands out there. So let's see. Where is that? I want to do, because here I'm doing blue. I didn't do much blue. I probably want to add some blue into this. I feel like doing ocean. This would be fun to add some texture to it, since I've already got this on here, adding some type on there. Oh, those are cute. Those are cute, 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 cute. I like those. I'm going to pop those in there. But I need some of that blue, which I have. Kind of goes with that. So I want to whip some blue in there, but I want to water it way down, so it's almost like a watery colored. Fat brush. I buy the super cheapo brushes. I just go to Michael's and buy the pack that's got like 6 or 7 brushes in there for like because I'm mean to them. This has been sitting in the water for like a week and a half. I'm terrible. So I just buy cheapo brushes, and when they get yucky, I buy new ones. I don't buy expensive brushes because I'm mean to them. And I know I'm mean to them. And so I just find it works better. So if I screw them up, I don't have to feel guilty. Why is it not squirting? Oh, come on. So, water it down. That way I can just put it back behind. Wash it out a little bit more. Swap it a little, so then I just have that little bit of the color. I just want a little, I don't want a lot of the color. There, so it gives me a little color there. So then it ties in with my blue. Okay, we'll dry that. So now let's see if I can find an ink pad that actually is not dried up. I think last time I did this, didn't I? I had issues with my ink pads being all dried up. Okay, that one has ink in it, so that'll work. I let some air go in between, it'll dry faster because it's what it's doing. It's probably dampening up the back side. So. bit of this one first. This one's an old stamp. I used to wash them. I don't anymore. Get this guy all good to go. This would also be a good place to put a little quote or saying if you wanted to. I don't know if I like that second one on there. I could have probably done without it. But it's fine. I'll leave it on there. I could always cover over it with white. The gesso again, cover over it. So it would have been better without that one on there. It's bugging me, and it will bug me. Oh, I hate when this thing does this. Smack it and it opens. Don't need to take it out completely, I guess. There, see, it just was too strong, so that just, I didn't have to take it out completely, but that just softened it down a bit, so that worked for me. Leave those wise. I like this little thing. I'm going to do that, but I'm going to stamp it on another piece and put it there. That'll work perfect. Too busy. I have these all separated and sorted. I have found the leaves. This one works. This one will work. Perfect. Where'd my ink go? Oh, get away. I get into my own little world, and I blather a bit, so I forget to look at the chat, so I warn you, I go into my own little world. The white stuff I am applying is white gesso. Gesso comes in white, clear, black. It does come in other colors as well. Yeah, that works for me. The other thing then that I want to do on this is, let's do this, and do I want to do it? Yeah, I like it on the blue. Okay, so we can do that. I need to get new ink pads for actually stamping. I haven't been stamping much in the last couple years. Alright, so I'm going to cut this out, and I'm not going to worry about doing it nice and straight. Cut it pretty close to the stamped image. And so then it's not such a big block. Breaking that up a little bit. So that does that. I want to tone these down just a squidgle. Yeah, gesso is kind of like a primer. Gesso is used, essentially what it was invented for is as a primer on a canvas that you're, for instance, maybe going to paint. And so it is very opaque. So by using some of that over the image that I didn't really like, so I didn't obliterate the image, but I did soften it down because I didn't want it quite that strong, whereas I liked these guys being strong, but I didn't want that one being so strong. Well, these are ready to go, but I want to do some stuff on top of this first. So I can do, so I want a little bit of the green. So I'm going to use some of my crayons. And run a little bit of, scribble a little green on these leaf things. And then using a softish brush, a little bit of water. Because they're distress, they let me, with water, spread them out. Since my water thing is not clean right now. Oh, come on, why are you not pumping water out? There you go. Water on there. I got a big run of water going across the middle of this dribble. Okay, there we go. So that brings the green in, and then on these little flower guys, I want the blue. I got the orange already. Just to scribble a little pink. Now these are distress crayons. I've also got a couple in this cup of some other, these are just art crayons. These I just happened to find at I think it was Joann's. So you don't have to, use super expensive fancy things. I'm trying to use stuff that are readily available so you can get them pretty easily. Then just give a little water to those. Bit of a dry, and then I might throw a little of the orange on there, I think, too. It is a Prima spray bottle. I'm also looking for some alternatives. I've been doing so much stuff with distressings for so long that I want some alternates too. So I need to start exploring a bit more. I don't want it quite so bright. Just give it a little dab-a-do. There we go. And then about the time you're like going, oh, should I do a little more? No, stop. Usually when you think you just want to do one more thing, that's when you stop. Okay, so now we're ready to glue these guys on. By breaking up this large block, it's not such a big block of color, and it also allows me to kind of wiggle around what's on there. It gives it more, it's more visually interesting than having this as one big solid blob there, is by doing that onto an accent paper, and then I can kind of play with it a little, and it gives it a little bit more interest, and I can work around elements that are on here, and I still, you know, get the sentiment from it. So you could also do, if you don't have stamps, you can find quotes online and type them out even on Word, and type them out to where then you can print them on cardstock and cut them out the same way. So you don't have to have stamps, you don't have to have anything fancy on your computer. You can do it on Word and just type things out. You can find things on Pinterest, and you know, print those out and cut them out. So I mean, that was pretty quick, pretty easy, and simple to do. So you know, I just did some white on there to start with, kind of like I've done here on the back too. So I did a little bit of white, did a little bit of tissue on there, added some accenty colors, kind of watered down some of the blue, some stamps, and voila. It's that quick and that easy. So you want to do the other side now? We can do that. Let's see what other, you just want to make sure that you don't flip it upside down. Fun things. This one I'm going to do for you, Joy. So Joy lost one of her birds. And I didn't tell her I was going to say this, but her birds are her babies. And I just want you to know, Joy, how I know how hard that has been on you. And I just want you to know I love you, and I know how hard it is for you. And so I'm going to do this one for Joy. So I won't do stripes. I'll be nice though. Ooh, I love this yellow. This is a good yellow. So it can be, we'll make it as nice and bright for Joy's birds. I'm just going to do some, I said I wasn't going to do stripes, so what do I immediately do? I do stripes. I'm sorry. It's just, it's not really stripes, it's just an edge. I'm just, you know, having a way to bring in some color. incorporated some of that aqua color in there. For my fluorescent. A little fluorescent green on there. You don't really see that on camera. This is actually fluorescent green. It looks like it's the same yellow on camera, but this is all fluorescent green. Let's let that dry for a second. The biggest thing I find for doing stuff like this is to quite literally turn off your brain. I find it is so freeing for me to let go of so much that we've got going on right now to do this kind of thing, because it lets you kind of turn your brain off and use, or at least for me, this is how it all works, and I just use my gut. I go with what is speaking to me, what my gut is telling me. Just go with that intuition. I posted something on my Instagram story today, is, you know, that intuition that's talking to you, that's your soul that's talking. Listen to it. Just sometimes you just kind of got to go with it. You know, it will tell you where things go. And you know what? If you do one of these and you hate it, you could even do these pages separate and then hook them together. But if you really, really hate it, you can either paint over it or do another one. So you don't have to be a masterpiece. I will tell you one thing I've been doing, and they're private, so I'm not really showing those. I might one day. I have been finding what has been helping me probably more than anything is doing art journaling. And it lets you play. If it's ugly, who cares? You're the only one who sees it. If it's really ugly and you hate it, paint over it, tear it out, whatever you want to do. But you know what? Keeping even the ones that are ugly, because that was where you were in that moment in time, and just go with it. So there, I just extended the little tree down. So we're going to take this guy, just like we did the other image, trim it close. Sometimes it gets a little like, okay. And then you had to decide, do I like, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to because I want to have that fly because of how things hang down and such. Let's see if I can wiggle this into there. I'm going to cover over the fly part. Yeah, I probably should get one of those. Leave this one on top. I probably should get one of those stamp things, platforms. I don't know. I was just disgusted by the whole industry and by the woman who invented it. So I was like, yeah, I'll pass. Okay, so I got your cross your heart, and so then I can just do the fly part. I mean, my biggest thing was keeping that part out, and then I can just do the fly down here. Because then I can cut it out separately. I don't like how that fly came out, so I can fix that. It's too diagonally for me, so let's see. So if I cover over, use some of my oh no, I don't like using the permanent stuff. I meant to grab the temporary stuff because this will wash off my stamps. This is just temporary repositional glue stick. That piece is big enough, we can do that. I don't want to take it out a whole another piece. So I'm just inking. Of course, I should have done that. Dumb. I should have inked it first and then put this on there. Okay, close enough. Okay, I'm not liking that. So we're just gonna have to do a whole nother piece. I'm just gonna stamp it. I'm just not gonna mess with it because it looks better the way they have it. So I'm gonna stop trying to be cute. I'm just gonna do it this way and not cut it apart. I like that better. Ooh, wait a minute, come back. What if I did the and in another color? Ooh, I like that, I like that, I like that. Where's the scrap of my... Because I just don't like those big blocks of color. So let's do this. I'm doing it wrong. You're supposed to stamp your ink your stamp, not stamp your ink. And then I did bad, but the part that I need is... So now I'm just going to cut out a little and. There, see that just, that was exactly what that's exactly what I needed. I like that now. Just adding a little bit of blue to the bird. Had to add my fluorescent pink. I had the fluorescent green on there, but it's not popping out as much as the pink did. So there's my cross your heart and fly. Yeah, but then I have to get up and get my. I don't have. If you're talking about the Tim glazes, I don't have any of those. I have some Seth Apter ones that I absolutely love. All right, so there's that page. So we can now, and you can decide: do I want that to be my front page or that? I think I'm gonna do this one as the front. So then I can attach this on. So just remember this first singular one, as we're attaching this is attaching to my cover, not onto my, so don't attach a page to it. So we'll just put glue on either side. As we've been doing for 10 years now. So I'm centering it and right close to the fold without going over. Hold that in place. Yes, I made the pages today, but I didn't make them on air. They are, as I gave dimensions earlier, they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then you can make them into a sleeve, whichever method, whether you want to use construction strips. That would give you the full height. I sewed them because my sewing machine is out. You could, excuse me, pretty much attach them in any fashion that you want. So there's the 2 pages of them. We can then make tags. So that's the blue we're using for the binding. I'm going to grab the darker shade. And then all this blue. Okay, so if I cut them to, let's see, what size can they go? 4 3/4. Let's do 4 3/4 high. And then 4 1/4. Oh, let's just shoot that. I need a new blade in there. So we'll just have to give it a little haircut. It wants to be shorter than that to fit in there. So what do I have it at? I have it at 4. So 4 1/2. So 4 1/2 by 4 1/4. Yeah, that blade. That blade is not doing a pretty cut job. And they're going to stick out because my covers is the same size. So these are going to stick out from the book regardless. Wow, that looks it's not nearly as bright. Let's put it this way. These 2 blues on camera are significantly brighter than they are in person. I just looked up and was like, whoa, they're very subdued. But they, on camera, I don't know if it's the lighting I have right now or what, but it's bright. So, but then, so you could put more than one tag in there. So if I turn this one this way, it'll stick out a whole lot more. But you can fit, more than one tag in there. We can make some little tab guys that go on there. Actually, rather than tabs, I'm gonna do So I just, some holes. I could put a little string or something in one of those, but just to give it something. I can round the corners. You could do a punched edge. You know, kind of much whatever you want on that, but yeah, so you can spit some small pictures. But again, as I was saying earlier, if you don't want to sit and play with messy stuff on these pages, you could totally just mat them with pattern paper, make tags with whatever kind of edge you want on them, or keeping them plain. This could be, and you could put photos on the front of these as well. So this could be a super quick, excuse me, a super quick little bride book, or you know, in lieu of a card, or you know, especially right now, is taking pictures, especially if you have you know, grandchildren or children or something. You could if you have grandchildren, you can make one of these, send it to your kids to put the grandchildren's pictures in, to send it back to you, so that you have, you know, some pictures, or you know, you could do that sort of thing to get pictures. Because right now, as families, we're kind of a little bit more disconnected than we have been, just because we have to be, especially with our elders. So putting together these sorts of things to send pictures or inspirational quotes or that sort of thing to friends and family, you know, instead of a card, or instead of something electronic. How fun would it be? I mean, I saw something like this on Facebook, and I've really thought about doing this where my mom lives. If anybody is at all interested in writing, making cards, or being a potential pen pal or that sort of thing with an elder in a assisted living facility, or even a nursing home. So many of our older folks don't use electronic, like my mom, she's not on the internet, thank God. But you know, she comes from an era where they wrote letters. So if anybody is at all interested in doing something like that, let me know, because I can hook you up with some of the people where at least like where my mom is, or find a nursing home or a assisted living facility near you, even if, or a veterans facility, and you know, write something and give it to somebody. Make something pretty and send it to them. That sort of thing. You know, connect. Give our elders some human connection, because right now they're not getting a lot of that, and it breaks my heart. It's so hard. I think the hardest thing about all of this, and I get emotional, so sorry if it's in my voice. I haven't gotten to hug my mom since March. And I've seen her through glass, but that's as close as I've come, and you know, it's stealing time. So we've got to find creative ways to connect and not let them feel alone and left out. So stenciling is also something. Yes, Leslie, stenciling was something actually I had probably oh, you know what I didn't do on this side that I did do on this side was some of this. I can even add it now. But yeah, you could totally add stencils, and actually what I planned to do and didn't. But let's put some of this on there. And I've got all of my brushes all totally. The water I have sitting here is just it's a mess. So I just don't want to stick. But I mean, what I love about this kind of way of doing things is you don't have to measure. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's very freeing. It's very forgiving. It's very loose. I like that. It says heart. I can put it on top of that even. Sometimes those little weird serendipitous things, like where it says heart right there, are cool. And fly, and there's a little word on right there, so it'll say fly on. Cross your heart and fly on. What's your bird's name again, Joy? Now, Victoria, you might have gone on a while back, and we had a stretch of about 2 weeks, several months ago now, that where it didn't work, but it's been working. I've not had anybody complaining about it not working. Lately, I don't like the holes. So, that seemed like a really good idea. They're too big. I don't like them. I'd have to plan them a little bit more, so we're just going to pretend like those weren't there. Okay, I like this. It's so much better now with that on there and going on top of that. Just, yeah, it's working. Much happier for me. Sharky, that's right. Well, he was a rescue, if I recall. Oh, you know, whether they have fur, whether they have feathers, it doesn't matter. The living creatures that live with us are part of our family. You know, it's devastating. I don't even like to call them my pets. You know, they're part of my family, and Sharky was part of your family, and I know your birds are your family members, and so it's hard when you lose one, especially when you weren't really quite expecting it. So yeah, the beauty of this is, like Christine is saying, with this project, it can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. I mean, this is relatively simple. Look, we did these 2 pages really, really fast, really quickly. And that's how I like to work using this kind of technique. Is I don't like to think too much. Don't overthink. Don't, just kind of go with what your gut is telling you to do and go with it. So by doing that, rather than overthinking it, and even if it's like you're like, oh my god, mine came out so ugly, it may be to you, but it isn't going to be to other people. So, you know, I can continue. We'll continue on. I'll try, like I said, I will do my best this week to do another class where we can do maybe 2 pages, another couple pages. I might try to get a couple pages done, as well. And if I have an opportunity, I'll try to do one up that's just done with paper. You can go back and watch some of my Mystery Book Club albums, and maybe on a smaller scale doing some of the stuff with paper on that. You can get fussy and take lots of time if you want, or you can keep it down and dirty and simple. The beauty of this is you can do whichever you want. You can use just simple stuff like I was using. You can use stencils, you can use washi tape, you can use sprays, you can use maybe packaged embellishments that you have. You can add fabric. You could even make the pages out of envelopes, make it even easier. They're super easy. So next time maybe we'll try to get a couple pages and as well as the cover done, but super fast, super easy. The other thing with these little quick classes that we're doing, I would love to see what you're doing with it. So please post over on Paper Doodles if you are making something with any of these, and let's see what everybody's doing. So Yeah, Joy's got birds that are. He was what? Cherokee was what? 33. You know, that's the difference with birds versus cats and dogs is they can outlive you. You have to have them in your wills. Because can't some kinds of parrots or other birds, can't they live like to be 100 or something like that, Joy? Still bright behind me. Sorry. I got to come up with some window coverings to help with that. I like not having window coverings in my studio because I like having the light come in, but I need to put some window coverings out for when I'm doing the live shows. So oh, what's happening with Victoria? And this is something I gotta have Carol look at again because it does that to me sometimes. What's happening is you can go ahead and click on it. For some reason, you must have gone in while she was doing some maintenance work. And so you have cookies, a cookie path within your computer that's arriving at my website when it does that. I have a secured certificate for my website. There's no issues with that. But for some reason, like when I go from my phone, I think it still does that to me as well. You can the site, and it tells you that it's impersonating my website and all that, and it's not. So I got to talk to Carol to see what we can do to fix that. You can go ahead and enter it. There's not anything that's going to happen. I've run into that same thing as well. And I think it has to do, you can also clear your cookies and it should eliminate that. So hopefully that helps a little bit there for you, Victoria. So, alrighty. So guys, I'm not going to specifically say what day. I do have something going on Wednesday. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll do Friday night. I would love to try to do Friday night. So let's tentatively at this point, I want to get back to doing Friday nights again. Excuse me, since we're not having hockey season this year. But, so what I'd really like to do is go back to doing my Friday nights again. I'm thinking 5:30, 6-ish. You'll have to look at the schedule when I decide. But around 5:30, 6-ish my time on the West Coast to be, and then we can work on this some more. But I'd love to get myself back into the swing of doing Friday nights again. And I think what I'd really love to do is start working on an album that we just, kind of work along on. I think my 3D stuff is going to be predominantly done via videos and that sort of thing, but we shall see. So, and if you guys are all math doesn't want to always work right. If you want to be playing with messy stuff, we can play with messy stuff, or if you would like, I can do a messy project, and then I can do a tidy project, and then we could just, I just want to start to where I'm doing something on a regular basis again. So, we'll see how it all shakes out. As some days I feel like I'm completely out of the fog, and I'm ready to bounce off the walls and be great, and then there's other days where it's like I don't even want to come in my studio. So it's not an easy time for any of us right now. So anyhow, but this was fun today, and you guys helped my mood considerably. And does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I think I will go ahead and let you all go. What time are we at? It's right at 5:30. There's tidy and messy aspects. True. So we've got the Hex-accordion binding with little sleeve pages that you can decorate as messy or as clean as you want to do. So anyway, there we go. thank you guys for joining me. And I appreciate how much all of you have hung in there with me. And we'll get back. I'm going to just keep on thinking things are going to... I'm not going to say they can't get worse, because that's always a fallacy, but things will get better. And I'm just going on that 100% belief. Bumpy ride till then, but things will get better. So everybody, I just ask that you please stay safe. Please wear a mask. Keep your distance. Wash your hands. And I've added to that, listen to science. So I don't care what your political affiliation is. Doesn't matter to me. That's personal. But masks should not be political. So wear one. So it helps. So I'm going to say peace out. Love you guys. Bunches and lots. As always, thank you to Joy and to Lois for being my mods. And cross your fingers. We'll see you next Friday. So bye for now.